And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Today. I had no intro. There was no intro. I forgot to put the intro up. Okay, let's do it. Okay, good morning. How's everybody doing? I'm a little late. Sorry about that. I told you I was going to sleep in it today, and I did, and so everything got backed up. So I needed some sleep, so I had to sleep in. Recommended by Lisa. Sleep in. No, you need to get your sleep, Ron. Yes, so here I am. Here I am. I got a little extra sleep today. What's going on? Lisa's the first person in the building, speaking of that. And again, my graphics changed. What is going on? Anyway, morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Lisa's and Miss, she says, good morning. And then now we have Gwendolyn says, good morning, y'all. And Jazzy says, good morning, beautiful people. And G says, yes, I'm settled, working on projects for September and October. And Elise is in the building. She says, good morning, everyone. And the wonderful Chris R is in the building after being MVP last night in game night. MVP Chris R. And let's see who else is in the building. Who else is here? And let's just say we have a shadow of the day, the validation. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And leadership is YouTube way to get engagements during lives. Yes, that's what that little guy, that little crown is. The leadership board is YouTube's way to get engagements. So true. So Kimmy Kim is in the building. What's going on, Kimmy Kim? It's interesting. The folks that are in the game nights are here in the day early in the morning. It's interesting. Interesting that we all arrive in the morning. Hey, it's in the building. What's going on? Grand Rising. Hi, Ron. Hi, everyone. Elise says good morning. And good morning, Ron. And so if you're in the building, make sure you hit the like so that way the algorithms know that we are doing something over here. I know I hate that we have to always say that every day. Hit the likes, hit the likes, hit the likes. Why don't they just do it? Why don't they just have the algorithm just give you and put you out into the world? Jody says, good morning, Elise. Good morning, Gwendolyn. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Aya. Jazzy's in the building. Jazzy's in the building. And I see also Kaz is in the building. What's going on, Kaz? Kaz Lee is in the building. Blessed Thursday all. So there's a lot in the news, but I'm going to bring on Gwendolyn because Gwendolyn is going to lead today. She's going to lead a conversation that I think is very important. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we got caught up in another conversation. So we're going to do that. I'm going to make sure I get those invitations to the crew. And I was looking at all this. I am now tired of the Epstein story. I'm just tired. I was like, is there anything else on YouTube? I listen to other stuff, but I was like, man, all the Epstein stuff. We know that there's something going on there. We know something strange is going on with there. We know that there's more to this story, and we know that there's something being hidden. So anyway, just saying, I don't know. I mean, what the heck? Okay. And Gwendolyn and Elise, I send you some invitations. And just so you probably say, where's Chris? Chris is usually on Thursdays. Chris is with his mom. His mom had surgery yesterday, and it was successful. He and I touched base this morning, and she's up, she's walking, she's moving, she's doing her thing. So Chris is very happy. The family's very happy that his mom, the surgery went well, and she's on a fast recovery. So we are excited. We keep her in prayer. That is Chris' mom. She had surgery yesterday. Yeah, here in New York. And I see Charlene's in the building. Good morning. Good morning. And Lisa says she's praying. Okay, well, everyone's praying. Keeping Chris in your prayers. And but he was excited. We chatted this via text today, this morning. Touching base. We always touch base. That's why we came up with this title, Touch Base Daily. Touching base with one another is so important. Lisa says, that's wonderful. And let's see, what else is here? Okay. Let me bring Gwendolyn on, because she brought up a good subject the day before we had in our regular just conversation. And I was like, we didn't get a chance to do it yesterday, but this was a good conversation. And I think no one can do it better than our wonderful G. So here she is. What's going on, G? Miss G.R. Houston.
I really appreciate how you tossed me that baton. I appreciate it. Because I'm sure there are other amazing people who could have this conversation. But yes,
well, it's only you and I on the platform, here on the screen.
At the moment, yes, it is. That is true. I can count. You are correct. There are 2 people here. So that limits.
It's only you and I.
All right. So which one are we doing? The one with RG3 and Angel Reese, or are we doing Teddy Bridgewater?
Let's go with I have the on the screen. I'll put it up there for you, already set up. I think it was let's go with the Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater. Let me just put up the article. This was really, really interesting. I did not know much about it until you brought it to my attention, and then I went into it. I was like, oh, okay, So here we go. Let me just get this up here.
So let me put my stance on NFL players, and this is coming from a person who has a loved one who is a retired NFL player. In my opinion, I would love for the players to go back to their schools or alma maters and give whatever they can give, or use their other talents, because there are some amazing broadcasters now who were NFL players, because they actually are fairly intelligent people, believe it or not. But when it comes to like high school, right, and doing things like that, I can't help but recognize that, some schools don't get all the funding that other schools get. We all know that, right? Everybody knows that. We also know, in my opinion, I'm using no leisurely, but we also know that a lot of these schools exploit the talent of Black students. Plain and simple. Those colleges, like, I was all on board and still am for NIL money. Those kids deserve to be paid, because the colleges are making mad money off their backs.
I agree.
That by the time, if they are lucky enough to get into the NFL, their body is already like really bruised. So consider that, right? Consider that. So beyond them saying, oh, but there's a scholarship, they got that. Yeah, but you're bringing in millions of dollars. Like, how is that even equal? So with all that said, Teddy Bridgewater decided to coach at his alma mater, his high school, I should say, right? And, some of the players didn't have the money to afford transportation, food, lodging, the recovery after. And so he came out of his pocket and covered it. The very next time, though, he was like, hey, let me get the community involved and ask for donations, which people will look at a football player and say, well, ain't you got some money? It all depends on how you handle your money. So that's one. But there's a lot of people who have to get paid before they get their paycheck. So that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, so he's asking for donations and what have you, because could he do it all the time? Yeah, but that's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Well, somebody decide to send an alert to the Florida High School Association, Sports Association, and say, hey, y'all should look into this, because he's not supposed to do it. Right? Technically, he's not supposed to do those things technically. And of course, his first year as coaching, The kids won a championship, right? So in my head, I thought, okay, I know what he's not supposed to do, but teachers are always buying supplies and other things for their students. Where I volunteered, there is a closet full of clothing. So if a child comes to school and the clothing isn't quite right, they will give this child another shirt or pair of pants or whatever to wear so that they don't feel some kind of way in class. They've been doing that for years. For years. So it's just baffling. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. Somebody hating on this man who's a quarterback. Hating on this man who's a quarterback who said, I'm going to help my players take care of the financial stress that I'm sure their parents are feeling, that they are feeling. Like, how do you have a kid who's playing football who can't eat? And I get it. And for some of these families, getting into any kind of professional sports is their way out. And I hate to say like that, but let's call it. When people see a tall kid, he's gonna be a basketball player, or if they're he's gonna be a football player, as if that's the only way out. But it is not, because there's a lot of amazing football players who got their degree and are winning it in their field of study. So yeah, somebody sent this anonymous allegation, and of course they had to investigate it, and the school decided to suspend Teddy as a head coach. I believe it's like for one semester, or I should say like one school year, not really sure yet. But he said, even if I'm in the stands, I'm going to still do what I was doing. Because when you have these other schools where they're giving mad money to like the pep rally team and all the booster club and all them people, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. But there is this ridiculous idea that, oh Lord, help me. All right, I'm already asked for graces. I'm going to go in. So, for all of the talk about Black people, I'm just saying, for all of the talk about Black people, don't do this, get your bootstraps and blah, blah, blah. There is this incessant hate when we still, despite all the foolishness and all the hurdles, when we still rise and thrive. There are some people out there who may not have all the melanin who are still hating on us. Like, how dare you come in here, help these kids win a state championship? How dare you? How dare you use your money, your funds to help somebody else? Where'd you get that from? The audacity of you to do that. The audacity. Because this school shouldn't be here. You shouldn't even be at this table. How dare you? But Teddy's like, look, I don't care what you do. Suspend me, fine. He said, I will be in the bleachers, and I will still be doing what I have to do to help these kids take care of whatever financial strains they have. Like, this is where we are. Like, we talked about it yesterday. Like, why is it bad to help people?
Yes.
Why are you making it a crime to give people a bottle of water when they're waiting in line to vote? Why are you holding kids hostage? Like, your child comes to school. This is in another district, not in my district. Your child comes to school and it's the lunch lady or gentleman who has to say, I'm sorry, but your parents haven't paid your debt, and so you can't get any lunch today. Or because your child doesn't have the money, because you don't have the money, you want to give these kids a special meal. So you don't get the fancy bread, you get the regular bread, and you only get a peanut butter sandwich, no jelly. Like, who are the adults voting for this stuff? For students. For students. Right? It's like, make it make sense. There's that other guy, and I didn't find the article, so I apologize, but the HOA is fining him every day for leaving out a cooler of cold frozen water for people who are just walking by. He's getting fined for that. Like, when did we say that it's awful to help people? Like why is that a crime right now?
Like I was saying, and in our conversation, there was a YouTuber, not a YouTuber, but he's also a Instagrammer, and he goes around to properties that have been neglected, usually because there's an elderly person living in that home. So this HOA or these people called the police on a man that took his resources, his power, his energy, and cleaned up the house of the elderly who was 83 years old, homebound, can't clean her property, can't do it, can't afford it. So he did it out of his good heart, made it beautiful, cleaned all the overgrowth, and then they called the police on him to arrest him for doing a good deed. And this is not just one, this is many incidents like this in America right now.
Yeah.
And you're saying, when did it become a crime to do good?
Mm-hmm. What gets
they
me
made it criminal.
What gets me too, though, is I'm just shocked that you would have any police department say, yeah, that's a valid call to respond to. Like, I have my neighbors, there's some guy here, he's cutting my neighbor's yard. She's homebound, she's a senior citizen, but he shouldn't be cutting her yard. I mean, her weeds are her weeds. They should stay there. Like why would you even respond to that? Like, is there some real crimes to be investigating?
Yeah, I never understood that either. I was like, so they were gonna put I don't know if they were gonna, the city was threatening her and her property. Mm-hmm. And he decided to help her out. And it goes back to the question you keep asking, Ron, what is it now that makes humanity illegal?
Yes.
Being kind to people in this country has become a negative thing. Like, going back to Teddy Bridgewater, he volunteered to do that job. He wasn't getting paid. My first time teaching in a DC public school classroom, I volunteered. I did for an entire year without pay to teach Algebra 1, without pay. I saw for some kids in the school and they needed someone to do it. Oh, I thought we all disappeared for a minute.
No, you're there.
And why is that bad? And as Gwendolyn say, we as an educator, even as an assistant principal, we always were buying things to make sure that children had things, whether it's paper, pencil, all those things, because and it's going to get even worse because of these school districts and the cuts. And DC made our breakfast program free for all students in the city. It didn't matter what your income level was, because they knew that we have a large population of students who needed breakfast. So when did that all become a crime? I mean, looking at the state of Texas and the ridiculous proposal that if a child is homeless, that there's going to be a consequence for that. I was like, I said, is that real or not?
It's real.
Because you can't believe that. Like you just said, you can't believe it's real.
Yeah, I can't believe it. You'd rather see children suffer because they're homeless. And what people need to understand, everyone that's homeless isn't because they're not working. They can't afford the cost of living where they live. So they're in shelters. They're living out of their cars and going to work every day.
Yes.
And so you get a consequence to children for that, which is insane. Our homeless students in DC actually have access to any school in the district. Our high schools are neighborhood and you have to apply to get in. But if the child is homeless, they can go to that school. Mm-hmm. The city owns, they support that child. And to think that there is a place where you can't do things for children, you can't help them with clothes and shoes because they need it.
It's insane.
Insane.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. If I may add on to that part about Texas, because there is a law where back in 2019 you couldn't, if you want to say, penalize homeless children, right?
Right.
And in this last session, they pretty much undercut that. The whole deal was teachers should be able to protect the other children in their classroom. So if they see that the child is disruptive, right? Because they really didn't define it, which is broad, that they will now have the ability to say, I want this child out of my classroom, so on and so forth. But if we, a dear friend of mine recently did a documentary, and they talked about how the child protective system is not protecting children. It's about big business.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved how they traced it back to slavery, where breaking up families is big business. It's big business, and it stays that way, right? So here you are in modern times, and their whole idea is to abolish that system. And when people say, well, if you don't have CPS, what do you have? The example given was in Houston, in the River Oaks neighborhood. It's a very affluent neighborhood. When those kids have issues, they don't call CPS. Right. There are resources available for them. There are people who are there for the family to help them work it out, so that you never know that Susie Q and Johnny J had alcohol problems, right? You never hear about it. So we know what it looks like to not have CPS managing and policing families. We know what it looks like because it exists today.
Yes.
And it does. And it does. And that's the difference too. When you talk the part when you said, oh, if they're disrupting the classroom. I've worked in every area of DC, the most impoverished and the wealthiest. They are the same. Those kids, they're disruptive kids whose parents who have money. And then you want to do things like about it. The other ones, let's suspend them now. And that's when we have to understand systemic racism. And that's why I keep trying to remind people, all of this is what systemic racism looks like, and understand that it's not about, because I always want people to detach it. Oh, that's what white people do to us. No, that's for whoever's in the system who are applying the rule the way they want you to apply it. You participate in that, whether you're black, white, Hispanic, whoever you are, a person of color, it doesn't matter. If you apply those rules, you are participating in systemic racism. And that's what it is. Systemic racism says, embarrass that child who can't afford to pay lunch. But at the same time, we're going to cut all the funding so that we can help them get the lunch, so that they can come in and get educated. You know, I had reduced lunches growing up, but I was able to get educated and college educated and go through, and because I had there was a program so that I could thrive and be healthy while I'm in that. So we want to take the food from children. And these are, and what gets me is we need to do what Roland Martin did. We need to make it clear to them, you're not pro-life.
Yeah, you're not. These are not pro-life people.
You make sure these children were fed, clothed, and housed and supported every step of the way. You're not pro-life. You're pro-birth. And then when they're born, that's it. You don't care about the children once they come out of the womb. And like you said, you have to care from the womb to the tomb. And that means taking care of the youngest of the young and the oldest people. Yes. And we have gotten to be a society where those of us who are, and it's the majority of us who care about people, are told that we're labeled as socialists and all of this kind of stuff. When it's all we are
it's just caring about people.
We're people who care about people. That's all we are. And it's become a crime to care about each other.
Yes, it is. And I mean, we'll get back to the Teddy Bridgewater story, but because this is all together. And I also like to pull from what Elise always says in this community about the classism, caste system.
Yeah, the caste
because
system.
You'll see in these schools also that the poor kid gets expelled, but the kid that has money stays. And or the parents will come and say, well, do you need money for the PTA, or do you need money for the gym project, or do you need money for such and such? And then that kid stays. Absolutely. And that kid was the one may have even started the fight in the lunchroom, or started the negative behavior. But the kid that's poor, the kid that doesn't have, is the one that's expelled or suspended, which then puts them into another system. Because I learned this when I was a volunteer for this organization here in New York City called Excel. And what Excel does is they take high school students that had problems in school,
right? And
they committed a crime. They go before the judge, and the judge will assign them to Excel to do what they call cooperative learning. So they will learn, but then they're assigned to business owners like myself, and they can be apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
One of the girls told they had a big, the big ceremony. They gave awards at the end and everything was really beautiful. But one of the girls, they shared her story. And she was a good student, Black girl. She had a altercation with a student that was a bully. The girl picked on her every single day. And then she said, enough is enough. And she fought back. The principal automatically expelled her.
Mm-hmm.
Just never had a problem, never did anything wrong. But because she stood up, and with the expulsion versus suspension,
right,
the expulsion goes with you all over the school system or wherever you decide to go. Mm-hmm. So now every time she went to a school, she was automatically scarlet letter. She had a scarlet letter, like this is a troubled child.
Right. And the suspension goes in systems. They have systems that we as administrators have to put all of that in. It's a database that collects all of that. So it travels with the child, especially once they get to middle school and high school, that travels with the child. And so they can pull it up and you have to do this major write-up. You have to do all of these things to do it. And me being in administration, seeing it firsthand, I had a colleague and, it was that day that you could have played This Girl Is on Fire or I'm going to lose my mind up in here for me. We had an in-school suspension. Well, he came and talked, and he was white. He said, there were white kids going to go into in-school suspension because of what they had done. The parents didn't want their children to be, quote unquote, embarrassed, so they wanted to cover the windows. I said, no, you don't cover it for the brown and the black and brown kids, so why are we going to do that? So it was on his floor because he was 8th grade. I walked up there, and that paper was on that glass. He looked at me. I looked at him. I said, this is not the time to speak to me. Because we had discussed that as an administrative team.
You told me this story. Yes, you did.
So
yes.
When I went down there, I was like, it's racism.
But what happens is then the kid is now looked at in a bad way. They don't give the resources. They don't give now that kid the positive attention. Now it is biases to that child. And she shared her story that now something happened and she gave up because no matter what she was doing, it kept getting worse and worse in the school system.
Called alternative schools.
Yeah. And so then she's in a bad place. She's not in one of the best schools. She's going through a whole change she's fighting now against the system as a kid.
Yeah.
And then so she says she gives up and just starts doing her own thing, hanging out in the street, not going to school anymore. She just gave up. This is a girl that had an A. She had an A average. She was an A student. One conflict. The bully, not even her. She's the one that's a good kid. I've seen this happen to one of my friends. So I know this story well in real life, in my life. And she did nothing wrong other than defend herself and her whole life. But I always say the grace of God intervened. She did commit a crime. She committed a crime when she was with some friends. But the judge felt like this needs to be rectified. And then she was put into the Excel program. Shout out to the folks at Excel here in New York City. And they took her in, apprentice, and now she's a businesswoman, has she's flourished, she's helping other kids in Excel. She's now an example of how you can become better after the system has failed you. And but I don't understand, how is it hard? I mean, why do we have to criminalize people?
Well, may I add an alternative thought to that?
Yeah.
The system didn't fail her. The system worked the way it was supposed to work.
way it
The
was
way
That's
it's
right.
always
Exactly.
been,
Yes, right.
it's always
Exactly.
been designed.
It's always
That
been this.
again, Black and brown bodies are big business. We talk about the school to prison pipeline. If you think about again how CPS works, they break up families. They don't put them back together.
Yes.
That's not their job. And if you continue to do that, like people never ask about the children who run away from homes, foster homes, why they're running away from that foster home. They never ask that. That's not the question. So you put them to a place. Let's go back even further. If you take away giving people access to any kind of aid, so the mother who has CPS called on her is called because her child is hungry, because she's below the poverty line. She doesn't have a living wage. She's trying to figure it out. We don't even want to raise the 725. Is it 725, 750?
725.
Right. And then if you think about the states, even in the states, they're like, well, 15 should be good enough. 12 is good enough. In what world? So she can't feed her child. So CPS gets called, right? And then they break up that family. And then she's trying to figure out, how do I get back to my kid? This kid is now in a home. And we've seen what some of these foster parents do. They just want the kid for the money. Again, big business, right? Child runs away. So now the child's on the street. There's a higher chance of some other trauma beyond being torn from your family. Like that stuff started years ago. It is still happening now. It's just more modernized. So the system didn't fail her. I'm glad that she got out of it.
It was supposed to work.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're right. Thank you for the correction. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
I remember what I said. You are implementing the system.
Yes.
The way it was designed.
It's designed.
And then how people do it. And Ron, you address this as well, is when the child is standing before you. Like when I was an administrator, I would have teachers. There would be an altercation in the classroom involved a child of color and a white kid.
Yeah.
I would get the child of color. I would send the child of color back to the teacher and say, now, if you're not going to send the white one, don't send this one. It stopped one teacher from doing it. I said, because that's prejudice. That's racism. You're being racist right now. And I send them back. So this one teacher stopped sending them. Because I said, if you're not going to send them all, do not send the one. Don't send me a child of color without the white one they were in altercation with. And I asked a little white boy when he came to me one time, when the boy went back and she sent the child. I said, so how did you feel when they only sent him and not you? He said, I felt like I had gotten away with it. I said, now I'm here to tell you didn't. Because you're gonna be consequence too. But that's the kind of and I'll say
but Elise, can I pause in here? Because I want to you bring up a good point, because isn't the system grooming that white kid to think he could just get away with it?
Right. And and that's the thing that you have to confront. I have so many examples. White kids decide to steal a gigantic turtle from the King's Dominion. Was gonna walk out and security got him on the camera, right? So they bring him to the security room, and I'm the administrator with them. I'm livid at this point. They've called the state trooper. The state trooper's in there. And I told those little kids, I said, now look, a part of me says, leave you down here and let him arrest you. I said, and I told them, I said, now, if these had been black kids, you would have had the state trooper put them in a car. And that's what I told them
with handcuffs.
With handcuffs. And I said, now, you all know it's because of privilege that you all sitting here. I said, but I should have him put you in handcuffs. That man, that state trooper, he was white. He took those handcuffs off his thing. Those kids started crying. But I took them back. And when their parents came, because I had the teachers call the parents ahead of time. So the parents came. And it was one parent, he was probably about 6'5", white guy, big white guy. He came up. I said, I want you all to understand that the only reason your children aren't in jail right now is because of privilege. He says to me, that's a racist statement. That's bad. I said, I didn't say anything. He said, and you need to not say it. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll stop saying it when you all stop doing it. And then he said, well, gentrification. I said, I didn't say anything about gentrification. I said, but however, since you brought it up, that's about class and not race. Gentrification can be class, not necessarily race. And so he called the ombudsman, and they called me, and that's did I tell him that? I said, I absolutely did. He said, would you be willing to meet with? Absolutely, because he wouldn't meet with me. So I was like, but they all had a punishment at school. They all had to spend time with the custodial staff cleaning up. And they were all, they weren't us. But because I wanted the other kids to understand that I don't care about the system letting away, that system letting them out of it. I was gonna make sure that they were gonna do it. And I would threaten my principal, who was a white guy at the time. I said, and if you don't do it, I will quit and make sure you get fired.
Oh.
Because we're not gonna have racism in this building.
But we need more people in our in these schools and that really care about the kids and care about teaching across the board. Like that school was lucky to have you to intervene and to keep them in check, because if you weren't there, a lot of stuff would have just been swept under the rug, or people have been taken advantage of. But because you care so much about the kids, you cared about the parents, you cared about the school, you cared about both the white kids and the black kids. And when you weren't caring about one over the other. Yeah. You were caring about the school, the system, the people.
Right. And but DC is interesting because we can't blame the leadership. We can't say, it's what white people do. No, y'all black. Y'all are imposing this systemic racism. The top of this system and the city are black people who are allowing these things to happen. We're not going to let them off. And I went to my first ever budget hearing, when they had a round table session at this place. And I was at my table and I said to my table, we're going to pay for it one way or the other. Either we're going to educate them or we're going to incarcerate them. And they wanted me to stand up and say that in front of the mayor. So I did. I said, you're going to pay one way or the other. You're going to either educate them or you're going to have to end up incarcerating them. It's your choice. And so they ended up saying they were going to fully fund the school system.
Wow. But anyway, let's go back to Gwendolyn. So Gwendolyn, with the Teddy Bridgewater, man, this is, again, this is something all of this is connected, because it all is showing how society, again, when I'm still trying to keep putting my finger on, why is it so bad to help people? And, when did it become a crime in our society? I'm going to, it's kind of like I know my answer to my question, but I just need to have more people talk about this question.
I want to talk about that question, but where Miss Elise was going with her conversation about how there are Black people who continue to push the system that is designed by nature to hurt Black people. I want to take a slight pivot because, okay, forget it. I mean, people know who I am. So yeah. Okay. So when you think about how white children, Caucasian children are taught privilege, that happens. It happens on both sides. It happens from those who are Caucasian and those who are also Black people, right? And I'm going to pivot into this RG3 thing. And Jazz and I had this chat yesterday, right? Because people love to demonize Angel Reese.
Absolutely.
They love it. Check it. You don't get a Caitlin Clark without an Angel Reese, because you need the Black boogeyman in order for you to have your great white hope. You need it. There is no great white hope without it. Think about your movies. Here you are, these people out on this island who are just in the wild, who are not modernized. And here I come in, white man to save the day. That theme is over and over and over again. You don't get a Caitlin Clark without an Angel Reese. And so then you have Black people, specifically Black men, but Black women are in there too, who want to say the most disgusting things about her. Because again, how dare you, Black woman, show up in a place where you recognize your whole worth, that you recognize that you are a badass, that you look good, that you're confident, that you can do all the things that the good Lord put in you. How dare you show up in those ways in this space ever? How dare you? Right. You should be lucky that we allowed you to come into this space and even sit at the table. You should be thanking us. That's what that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. That is that same deal that you can have in Caitlin Clark, as Jasmine and I talked about, who's a dirty ball player. She is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Right?
Right.
They're not going to say nothing about that.
Nope.
They're not going to say nothing about that. Never, not once. There is nothing Angel Reese could do that would make them say, wow, she's amazing. And check it. WNBA has been around for a very long time.
Long time now.
A long time. Houston, we rocked all them championships all the time. But you know what? There were just majority Black women who were really holding down that sport. And who wants to give us the time of day ever? Like, there's no value there because we're not valued. Right? So you get somebody like an RG3 who has his own self-hatred. Like, I keep thinking that his attack on Angel Reese, somebody he knew sometime somewhere in his life clearly did him dirty or didn't give him time of day, and he is hating her for it because she reminds him of somebody he used to know. I mean, dude, you 30-something and married. She's 20-something. Why are you coming for this kid and saying ridiculous things? You know, and just like make it make sense. But there are a number of Black people who continue to push the system that was given to them generations ago. And they stay there. That if there's any Black woman, Black child, Black person, whomever, who defends themselves, and rightfully so, that is a crime. And if you're a Black man or Black woman defending Angel Reese, that's a crime too. Because how dare you do that? As Shaq told him to keep her name. Keep it.
He was using your language.
Shaq exploded. Shaq, you don't usually see Shaq exploding like that, but that was
wrong. It's wrong. It is wrong. But think about the number of Black men you know. And my family, we are multi-ethnic. All right, all the ethnicities, all the orientations, all of them. So we are all the things. So I'm not saying that you can't have a Caucasian wife or anything else. That ain't it. What I am saying, though, is for the person who feels the need to say, you're jealous because I got a white woman. What? I'm sorry, what? What are you talking about?
Correct.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, dig deep on that, bruh. Like, that's a problem. That's a whole nother self-hatred something problem. But his fascination with her, and we know it's clickbait, it is beyond disgusting at this point. Beyond. And I say it's a bitch-ass move, is what it is. Because you are not 16 years old talking about, well, her people called and told me that she didn't even like, what are you doing? Like, what's wrong with you? Some illness.
And Shaq is her mentor, by the way. He mentors her off the court. And so he's like, coming at her was like coming at him. He was like, I'm going to punch you in your face.
He said effing face. He said the F.
I know. I said, he used Gwendolyn's language.
I was like, wait, I was like, Shaq is not playing.
Shaq was like, come for me. And I doing this all the time, they come for her all the time. She's 20-something years old, and she has to endure those attacks on all the time, and she has to put her head down and keep going and keep playing who she is on that court. And so she has to use that as fuel and not something to put out her flame, right? So that's what she's doing. And for Shaq to stand, and for these men now to start standing up for her, is what she needs. She needs those men to come out and stand up for her. And she needs us as women, as people, to not buy the craziness. Oh, Angel Reese did this, but you see Caitlin Clark doing some stuff on the court that nobody checks her for. I've seen it. I know when I was watching the games with my husband, he was like, I said, yeah, did you see that? I said, you want to talk about Angel Reese? Did you see that? I don't watch them all the time, but I will call that attention. Don't just look at her, because that's the same thing that happens in schools. Somebody will be tearing up a place, and that Gwendolyn does something, and all of a sudden they see Gwendolyn, but they didn't see the white kid tearing up the place. They were running amok, but you didn't see that. But as soon as she takes off, oh my God, let her stop. And that's the way it is now. It's like she is doing what she's trying. She's playing the game. She is playing basketball, professional basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And who told you that that anywhere in there is Caitlin Clark is a basketball player, professional player. She should get what happens on a basketball court.
Yes.
Right.
It's a part of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody does something, don't call all, I'm about fairness. You got to call everybody. And if you go and leave Angel Reese alone. And that's what, and I'm so glad that he said something. I was surprised that he said it, but I was like, come on, Shaq.
when Gwendolyn mentioned it to me, I was like, what? And then, so I read the article. I said, go Shaq. Go Shaq. Because Shaq is usually kind of like, he just kind of like sits in, I mean, he's very active politically and he's very engaged, but he doesn't put his business in the street. He doesn't react like in the streets.
Shaq has a real doctorate. He studied and got a real doctorate.
Yes, he got a real doctorate.
Not honorary. Yeah. He has a real doctorate degree.
That's right.
So he knows business. He knows how to handle business. But he did what she needed someone to do.
Mm-hmm.
To stand up. She needed that man to stand up for her because this man was trying to tear her down.
Mm-hmm.
She needed him to show up and say, and he said, come after me. I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah, I'll punch you in your, as they said, he would punch Griffin in the effing face.
But that's the story, like, and I'll say nationwide, perhaps worldwide, is that Black women are always put in a place where we have to carry everybody's load. We have to be Little Miss Prissy and things of that nature. And in order to even be considered human, when I think about the stories that I have read of things that have happened to Black women, there is not a, oh my goodness, how can we help her? It's a, what did she do? She must have said something, because I know they're always saying something. Like, how disgusting is that you believe that a Black mother should be shot at with kids in her car?
Right.
Like what make that make sense? Because again, our bodies are never to be cared for. It is to be ravaged. It is to be treated inhumanely. And then if by chance, we might do something, but that's about it. People want to be us. I'm not gonna lie about that. I already said it. I have some co-workers who stayed mad jealous. Get mad, get jealous, get mad, get whatever, right? Get whatever. Right. But we know that when you do all of the alterations, and I'm going to say it, you do all the alterations,
all the big adding to the lips.
You don't want this blues. You don't want that smoke every single day. When people talk about like Black women have to be strong, we have to be just to not punch a bitch in the throat. You know how bad it is out here sometimes? The ridiculousness, and it would be okay if it was just one group, but we have our own men saying the same ignorant things to us,
absolutely,
on a consistent basis. That anything that happens to me is just, well, you probably said something, because we know how y'all are. What?
It always takes me back to Malcolm X, and that's my favorite quote. He said, "The most unprotected and disrespected person in America is a Black woman." And that, to me, coming from a man who was in the faith that he was in, that was one of the most powerful statements a man made about Black women.
Yes. Because
he felt that he saw it firsthand, and probably in his organization, he knew that they were disrespected, and we continue to be. And then, and you think about, even when it comes to Kamala Harris, Black men, I never vote for her. And, we treat them the same way. They don't protect you. And you have to protect yourself. And a lot of times people, like my kids would tell you, Mom going to lay some hands on you. And I've been on the street with my husband. If he didn't react fast enough, we walking with my granddaughter, and this strange little white man kept walking behind, looking at her, and he was getting close. We stopped and let him pass by. He still want to stop and look. And I told him, and my husband was reacting too slow for me. I told him, I'd say, I tell you what, I'm going to push you out in the middle of the street in front of a moving car if you don't turn around. He turned around. But sometimes people ask, why do we do what we have to? Why do we do what we do? We do a lot of times what we have to do to survive, too, and protect. We're going to protect ourselves. We're going to protect each other. I'm going to protect all my friends, men or women. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to have your back. I tell people I look good in orange. If it's the right situation, hey, I look good in orange. Right?
Oh my
But I think,
Lord.
yeah.
Right?
So
Yes.
that's what it is about. To see a man rise up and protect a young Black woman who's, what is she, in her second year of her career as a professional basketball player, to see them rise up and start to protect her against someone who, to get the clickbait on Fox Sports. He wants to try to tear her down and think it's a joke and sit in front of in their conversation with your wife, and your wife sipping tea and laughing. Why? They said, don't talk about her, but you put her in the picture. We didn't put her in the picture. You did that. You could have, I edited videos before. You could have edited her out of that video.
He knew what he was doing
on purpose. And it's always this thing of trying to make us feel less than. I know that when I wore Toms every day, people at my school, Black and white, started wearing Toms. They say, those Toms look cute. Okay, you going to do what you're going to do. But we do, people, as you said, well, they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues. They want to emulate us at all time. And what I told my kids to make them feel comfortable with their skin, I said, let me tell you what this really is. This is about envy. Envying us for what we do. Is envying Black women for all the things that if she wants to do with her hair, she can do it without having to figure out how to put twine and straws and everything in there to make it look like it does. There's envy because when I walk into the sun, I get this amazing glow without any effort. I don't have to lay in the sun. I don't have to go to a tanning bed. I am just automatically God gifted and glowing. You envy that. You envy that I can walk out and be beautiful and glowing, and you struggle to get there and then end up with skin cancer. Envy all of that. That's what it is. It's about envy, and so then it start telling you the way to get at you is to tell you that you're not as beautiful as God had made you.
He didn't make no mistakes. Ain't nobody made.
They start trying to get some stuff. They're trying to do everything. Why you in if that's not beauty, why are you trying to get that tan?
Can we, Miss Elise, we stay bronze in the summer. You know what I'm saying? We stay
down.
But can we go back to Adrian's comment real quick?
Adrian, yes.
And Miss Elise is right. It is envy, because think about it. If the idea, and I say if just because but if the idea is, the white guys at the top, and so white women by nature are put on a pedestal, this very fragile pedestal, that at any moment, if they decided to really show up as themselves, that can be snatched away. Okay, so that's that. So then you have the chick, Black women, way at the bottom of the totem pole, way down here, where people like, if anything, I never want to be her. And then despite all of that, we still rise and thrive. Like, how is it that you are able to just walk around with a smile, have the confidence, know that when you walk in the room, you turn on all the heads. I mean, all like they are jelly, green, right? How are you doing that when the world has told me that you are less than, and that being blonde, blue-eyed, and all this stuff is the way to be? How are you still showing up like that? Tell me how. That's what it is. Now, are we worn out? You know what, Adrian? When I think about what Black women have to do on a daily basis to not go out here and like really hurt some people, it is amazing how we are. I hate to use the word resilient, but that is in there. Because at any moment you could say, this ain't worth it, and I'm going to just show the world what's really going on. Or I may take some other alternative route out, which is not what you want to do, right? But we have all been there. We have all been there. If you are blessed enough to get at a young age, knowing that you are enough and that what you have is amazing, Black girl magic. Well, no, all girls are magical. No, bitch, no, they're not. Okay? They're not. Right? Like, we can't have anything for ourselves. And I mean, that's just like, we cannot have anything for ourselves whenever we go out and do something and we create these things from a place of sometimes trauma, a place of survival. A lot of this ingenuity comes from a place of, how can I make this better for me? Because the world wants me in the ground, 6 feet under so badly. How can I make it better for me? And when we do that, they want to take that too. We out here line dancing because it's so crazy outside. I'd rather dance and pop my fan. And then they want to come and take that too. You know,
Yeah.
these are survival tactics.
I
do
love
have my
those.
thing.
Gwendolyn has put me onto the line dancing and all that stuff, and
Oh yeah,
We
you
gonna
have to
line
get that
dance.
together,
I
right?
go through the videos, and I'm just like, and I'm looking at them. Dun, 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 dun. They go,
We gonna line dance.
Those fans that
Yes, we gonna lie, but think about it, like these are survival tactics because if you're not crying, you're probably screaming. But you know what I'm gonna do? I am here today. The good Lord has me here today for a reason. He didn't take me home yet, so clearly my job is not done. And so for that, I am going to dance, show up as my full self, make somebody angry, and keep it moving. Okay, great.
Right.
But that's
Right.
survival.
right,
and
and we
you
have
think,
to
but you,
think
but
about
you think about also all the industries that have been created, all the billions of dollars of the industries to have a bigger rear end, to have fuller lips, to get the suntan skin, as we call it, the sun-kissed skin. And I mean, the industries that have been created to be like us.
Hey, the tanning bed, you can get it just right off of the tanning bed in the big beautiful bill. It's horrible bill they have. They put tanning beds in there. I wonder why. But I think going back to Adrian's question about Black women, the statement he made about Black women. One of the things that I always tell people, and not everybody agrees, I said, I want you to think about our people historically, and the role that Black women had to play during slavery. All the time, the father may not have been there, families were broken up, but those women had to rally around the children. They had to protect that family. She did whatever it took to make sure the family survived. And she's done it for forever. She's done it for centuries at this point. And so a part of our thing is we work so hard to ensure that we continue to thrive and survive. And we are so resilient because we have to be. That's the reason she's the most educated populace in this country, because she knows she has to be that way. She knows she has to protect her family. She knows she has to protect all those things. And then they say, well, why do Black women get upset sometimes when they see Black men with white women? Because sometimes you go back in your head and say, man, look at what we laid down for. Look at what we fought for. Look at what we protected. And are they protecting us? I have no problem with people loving whoever. My family's like Gwendolyn. We have everybody, everything, every love style, everything is in my family. Every hue, every shade you could think of is in this family. But the point of it is, love me the way you love everybody else. Don't love me less because you have put someone on a artificial pedestal. But I got to teach them how to cook a pot of greens if you ever want to eat a decent meal at the house.
Or oxtail.
Or oxtail. So my thing is, it's like the Nick Giovanni and James Baldwin conversation they have. She said, lie to me. But my thing is, I don't want you to lie to me, but I want you to love me the way you love everybody else. Yes. And respect me the way you respect all those other people. Don't decide that for you to rise, you have to step on me. And that's what a lot of people have decided in this culture, is that to rise, we have to step on us. And they've intentionally created this conflict on social media between Black men and Black women. We got to stop that crap. That's intentional to have us attack each other. Why? Because they see the Black woman, because of how she carries herself and how she votes, as a threat to them. And so therefore, to bring her down, they have her man trying to attack her.
But there's a whole nother subject for another day, but there is a true strategy. And it's by the Russians, the Russians, Chinese, and all the bots out there. There's a true thing going on online right now to paint Black women as bad and creating these AIs. All these different AIs. This is a real thing. This is a real thing on AI, the AI subjects online. If you go through your TikToks and you go through your Instagrams, these are AI generated by, and I will have to say, I don't think it's just China and Iran and all the other. I said there's probably some folks right here in America doing these things. I mean, these AIs are painting Black women as bad or the chicken wings and all kinds of stuff, just horrible stuff. And it's AI generated And this is a real subject for another day. We can dive into it, but this is a real subject in cyberspace.
But we have to
AI
remember
generated.
why. We have to clearly think about why they're doing that.
Oh yeah,
why
you said it.
That propaganda
in
this country. It's generating something, but they're generating it here and posting it here. Why are they doing it? Because they see us as one of the strongest forces.
You are the strongest
in this country. They see us as a very strong force. And so their next thing is how do we get Black women to fight Black women? How do we get that strife going? And because they're going to keep trying to manipulate it. And we're going to have to figure out how we keep rising above that. How do we show each other love that way? Because the process is to say, we don't want that Black woman as the rise of the new movement. And so she has to be painted in the worst light and demonized. And we need more of our Black men to rise up and protect us. Get out there and be vocal about our protection and say it out loud that they respect and protect us. Just like Shaq did for Angel Reese. We need them to rise up and protect us. We need that. And we need not to fall for the bait that people fall for on these social media platforms just to be heard. And I saw Dr. Tachi's statement. And Dr. Tachi, you're exactly right. That's a part of keeping us. It's a part of the caste system. I have to keep going back to that. Yes. In the book Caste, it talks about that structure of keeping those of us who are from the African diaspora at each other and making some of us feel better than the other. And we're not. We all should be working together.
Yes.
They know if we all join forces, we would be more powerful than they could ever imagine. But it's easy for them to plant these seeds of dissension and cause conflict within a community of people. Because we're so easy, we got to stop being manipulated by people outside forces. We have got to stop doing it.
I agree 100. And in the cyberspace world, I say, folks, do not repost those things. Don't engage with them. Every time I see them, I just skip over it. I just skip. I don't even click on it, because you click on it, it gives that, that approval. And then they put more feet of that feed in your feed. So just go bypass it and share it with your kids, share it with your friends. This is, and there was a commentator that also mentioned why they were going after all these government workers. A majority of the government workers are Black women.
Yeah. Black women have lost in the last 6 months.
Yes. So this is a way. And then what they're planning, if you look at Project 2025, is they're going to rehire these people as loyalists. So you get rid of all the Black women that are in the government, get them out. This is also another, because the Black women are the cornerstone of the Black family. And so if you can try to crush the Black woman, this is in their thinking, they can crush the family. And so now you make her unemployed, and she's a big part of the breadwinning, because she's working, she's in college, she has a great job, she has a good job, paying job, and she's a big contributor to the family. And they're going after everything that supports the Black community. If people don't see it, they're crazy.
Right.
This is systematic. One thing, one pillar after another.
But this is when we have to dig down into our resiliency, right? And our ability to thrive. So you fire me for that, but you know what? I can sew, I can bake, and I can sell them cakes.
There you go.
Like, I got something. If I really wanted to do something and generate a lot of money, I sell a bunch of rum cakes. Y'all want a real rum cake that'll make you sit down for a minute? I got one you can buy. It'll make you sit down for a minute. Now you won't be on the road.
Miss Elise, go and send me one.
I want one for Thanksgiving, Elise. I'm lined up. I got my money right here for you.
Look, and they're easy to ship too. I've shipped to California before. but we have that ability. We can adapt, and that's the one thing that Black people have had to learn to be adaptable, right?
Resilience.
We had to learn to adapt because we were brought, our ancestors were brought into a place where they didn't know all of these things, but right after the freedom, they were already able to go into offices and go into colleges and universities because they were already brilliant. You know, you came from brilliance. It didn't start with them. They didn't teach you that. You were brilliant when they brought you here. And so we started to use it, and we adapted to our environment. And we're gonna keep adapting. They displace people, and then that's when we talked about the other day. That's when we have to figure out, how do we keep supporting each other? How do we support those creative people? How do we support the one that's now baking cakes because she lost her government job? Buy some cakes. She started a business sewing. Buy those sewing. She got whatever that company is, or he has whatever that company is. We have to support that part. Or he or she finally goes out and start producing the artwork. We got to keep our dollars within that. Our biggest problem and our biggest power is in the dollars that we spend. We got to start spending more of those within the community, because that's how we're going to help these people who are being put out of jobs adapt to that new environment.
This was good.
Like that, if there's nothing that's happening to people that has not happened to Black people. Slave catchers were out there now. That's ICE are the new slave catchers. They're getting paid tons of money for it, but they are the new slave catchers. We have been chased down. We've been lynched. We've been locked up. We've been put in the camps, the prisons, and made to work in the fields in Louisiana in the hot sun. We've been put in pits to left to die. We've been put in all of those situations where they wouldn't even let you out, but you died in there. We've been put through it. Our towns, when we were successful, have been burned down because we were successful. Because we were making our, not just tying our boot, pulling up the bootstraps. We were making the boots. So they destroyed all that, and they wanted to steal all that. We have been doing this, and it has been done. So when people say, well, Black people, it's going to happen to you next, it happened to us.
It's already happened.
It's already happened.
It happened.
Been there, done that.
So that they made laws so that Black women in the South could not be stay-at-home mothers because white wanted them to work for them. They tried to make laws so that you couldn't move north out of the South because they needed you to be their labor, their cheap or free labor. They made laws for that. People don't realize that.
Yeah. You
could not be a stay-at-home Black mother in some of those southern towns because the white woman needed you to work in her house. That's my soapbox for today.
Elise, don't bring out that soapbox. You can bring it out.
If
that's the case, then Black women are the foundation of all American families, if I may say so myself.
We are. The people talk about, look, these people, and I always remind people, they nurse from a Black breast.
Don't they know?
Their ancestors nursed from a Black breast because those women didn't want to breastfeed their own children. So, and then she had to make sure that she didn't use that same breast to nurse her own child when she got home. So you got your child on one breast, their child on another breast, because you're making sure is nourished and survive.
But we're
you
hard
are
to
the foundation of why a lot of the white people kept going. That's why we are that foundation. And as soon as all of us understand that, is that we fight, and we're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna be there till the wheels drop off. We're gonna burn something down if we have to, but we're gonna be there. We're gonna always be there. And there's nothing under the sun that has not been done to our people.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You see? And again, others have gained privilege because of us.
And everything. And I tell people, I don't want anyone from the white women to the poor white person to the people of color from other countries. Don't y'all ever forget, everything that you have access to is because of Black people. And guess what? In that Constitution, when they fought for those bills, they didn't fight fight for just black people. They fought for underrepresented people. It does not say black. Y'all have been brainwashed to think it said black. That's why you're paying the price when they get rid of it, because you didn't understand that you were included. But you have it, and you are here because of black people in America, those who were born and died and bled for you. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. So people of color, don't let them pit us against each other. I'm not. I love food too much for all that. But it's not just food. I love culture. I
love culture. We love the arts. We love people.
It's up to us not to fall into the trap.
Yes.
It's up to us. If we fall into the trap, it's because we did it. We allowed it. We got to hold, as Jazzy said, we keep saying we have to hold ourselves accountable for the things and stop asking someone else to do something for us that we are not willing to do for ourselves. We are the ones who are responsible for what happens right now. We have more control than they want us to understand that we have. We have the power. We just don't accept it. We keep letting them tell us we don't. We spend trillions of dollars. We are the reason that some of these things exist. We're one of the most red. Black women are one of the most red group of people in this country as well, as in addition to education. We read everything.
Everything.
The point is, let's start using it to our advantage. Let's stop letting the world manipulate us and stop trashing each other. I'm not going to trash you. I'm not going to trash people online. I'm not going to perform for the people. I'm not going to perform for the white people. But I want everybody to remember, if you are a poor white person in America and you hear this, you have the benefits that you have because of civil rights fought for by black people in America. Because guess what? You were underrepresented. Guess what? When they got free public schools in the South, you weren't in those schools because you were poor. You were dirt poor and your family couldn't pay for school. So when they got it down there, your family finally had access to that same free and appropriate education because of black people. Don't ever forget that.
And the church will say, amen.
Amen. And let the church say amen. Wow. This was, wow.
If you don't know, now you know.
There you go. And I want to get a fan. I think that way, you know what, Gwendolyn, I think maybe that should be my first merch. I think I want to get some fans. Where my fans at? Where my fans at? Where my
have a good
fans
one now, Ron. You can't just get that cheap fan that don't pop when you do it.
Right.
All fans are not equal. All fans are not equal. I'm gonna tell you.
We got to
bring my tambourine next week. Bring my tambourine next week.
I saw some fans and they were not equal.
Oh, when I was at the Soul Summit on this past Sunday, they had those fans out. I just love it. Guys, this was great conversation. Thank you, Gwendolyn, for leading this one. And Elise and I, we were just in there. And Elise, you always bring so much insight. Thank you so much for your insight. And the last thought, I saw this yesterday on a Black video. This young lady from Africa, she was saying, Black women are the only people on the earth that have all of the combinations of all people on the planet.
Yes.
Black women have they have blonde hair. You say, oh no, Black people don't have blonde hair. Africans have blonde hair. Africans have blue eyes. Africans have green eyes. Africans have, people say, oh, your eyes are like Chinese. Nope. You go back to some of the Black villages and the eyes are just like the Chinese people.
Right.
So Black women, the woman brought it up and I was like, yeah, that's something that Black people have a lot to be confident about and a lot to be thankful and rejoice and stand up like the peacock and just walk and strut, because we have a lot. We've given to the world on so many levels.
And stay giving.
And stay giving.
Would you talk about Black women and what she carries in her DNA? I think about
her
Lupita,
DNA.
When they did her DNA and they traced her back to that original woman. They said
Yes.
she was the one where they found that strand in her, because where was the Garden of Eden for real?
Yes.
There's on that, and where it was and how they renamed it. So didn't know it was sitting in Africa?
Yes, right. There you go. Thank you for the and Adrian and Lisa for the super stickers. Yes, if you want to contribute to our platform, you can do that with that little icon at the bottom of the comment. You can do that. You can add with a little, I think it's a little dollar bill, whatever that thing is with the plus on it. You can do that. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Adrian, for supporting this program. And as we talk about that, let's go to the videotape and say, oops, here we go. Join our email and our email listing by going to Ron Lewis Photos. Click on that, and so there you can join our email listing. And in case we can't meet you, can't talk on these lines, because one day they're gonna come for this internet. One day they're gonna say this internet is too powerful. We gotta shut it down. But we will still have emails, and some emails are the thing that's been around for the longest, and we will have them. Okay, if you're also looking for an event photographer, make sure you reach out to me. I do event photography, commercial, and corporate, and personal, and parties, all that good stuff. Events, if it's an event, I will photograph it. And again, thank you to our Patreon members who are part of our community and make this community happen. Your support helps us create amazing content for all the Patreon members. And if you are not a Patreon member, you should become one so you can support what we do here. And all you have to do is go to patreon.com and put in Ron Lewis Photos. Okay, there we are. Any last word? Elise?
Look, I think I've said enough. Remember, I just want people to remember, you have it because we fought for it. You have it because our ancestors bled for it. And Don't forget that. And we have got to come together and be a stronger force, because together that we are the strongest. And they want us to stay divided. And we have to be those voices that help people understand that help bring it. We have to keep growing the communities that we're in and bringing people together.
Amen. Gwendolyn, last words?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Gwendolyn's on mute. I'm going to go with does she always do that? I'm always singing something. I'm going to go with self-accountability, because we talk about stuff, but we rarely sit with ourselves and check ourselves, and even check our own biases and how they show up, and how we talk to others, how we interact with other people, and how we do what we do in the world. So check yourself, look in the mirror, be really honest about who you are. It's okay. The good Lord still loves you, but be honest about who you are. Check that.
I love it. And again, thank you, Jazzy, for the super sticker. Thank you for supporting what we do here. And Dr. Tachi with her sticker. Thank you for supporting. I love it. Thank you, guys. And Alicia says, great show. Great show. And Lisa says, thank you, G, for this topic. And Rosemary says, thank you all for taking the time to keep us schooled. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Oh, Lisa says, and thank you to our visiting pastor.
Pastor, come through today.
Yes, the golden pulpit.
I'm bringing my tambourine next week.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful Thursday. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow's our Focus Friday. If you have accounts that you want to feature here that are encouraging, inspiring, and informative, that is what we look for on Focus Friday. Let's share some stuff. I have a lot of stuff to share with you, but I want you guys to share as well. So make sure you pop on with some FFs, some Focus Friday accounts that you love. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'm working on that fan. I want a fan. Where those fans at? Where those fans at?
You're a little slow on the beat.
Later, guys. You gotta get it.
Hello, and Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you hit the like, the subscribe, and leave a comment on this video. I would love to hear from you. Thank you again. Until I see you next time.